The shocking truth be shooting, a Days of Our Lives mystery unraveled for decades. Days of Our Lives has captivated audiences with its tangled web of secrets, betrayals, and dramatic twists, and the latest storyline surrounding the shooting of EJ DiMera, played by Dan Feuerriegel, is no exception. The residents of Salem have been reeling ever since the night a gunshot rang out, leaving EJ fighting for his life and the question of, who pulled the trigger, on everyone's lips. As theories swirl and fingers point, one fan theory stands out as the most shocking yet plausible. The shooter wasn't Johnny, it wasn't Rachel, it was Chad DiMera, EJ's own brother. With actor Billy Flynn, who has portrayed Chad for over a decade, set to exit Days of Our Lives for the young and the restless, fans are left wondering if this explosive twist could lead to Chad facing a lengthy prison sentence, marking a dramatic end to Flynn's tenure in Salem. Let's dive into this gripping mystery, explore why Chad might be the culprit, and unpack the theories that make this twist both heartbreaking and believable. The setup: a DiMera family in turmoil. The DiMera family has always been at the heart of Days of Our Lives, their legacy defined by power struggles, dark secrets, and fierce loyalty. EJ DiMera, the suave and cunning son of the late Stefano DiMera, has long been a central figure in this dynasty, navigating corporate battles and personal vendettas with equal finesse. But recently, EJ's world has been rocked by revelations that have fractured his relationships with those closest to him. The most devastating blow came when his son, Johnny DiMera, discovered EJ's role in a painful family secret. EJ's actions led to the suffering of Johnny's mother, Sammy Brady, Allison Sweeney. A betrayal that cut deep. Johnny, a passionate and impulsive young man, confronted his father in a heated exchange, brandishing a gun as emotions boiled over. The confrontation ended without bloodshed, or so it seemed. Later that night, EJ was found gravely wounded, a bullet lodged in his chest, and all signs pointed to Johnny as the shooter. The police arrested him, and the evidence was damning: the gun, Johnny's fingerprints, and his public feud with EJ. Yet, Johnny insisted he was innocent, claiming he left the gun with EJ after their argument. Surprisingly, EJ backed his son's story, raising doubts about who really pulled the trigger. As Salem speculated, another suspect emerged: Rachel Black, Alice Halsey, EJ's young niece and the adopted daughter of Kristen DiMera. Rachel, traumatized by EJ's role in separating her from her grandmother, had motive and opportunity. Her erratic behavior and whispered confessions hinted at a child pushed to the edge by family dysfunction. But as compelling as Rachel's storyline is, a darker, more unexpected truth may lie beneath the surface, one that points to Chad DiMera, the last person anyone would suspect. The case for Chad, a brother's betrayal. Chad DiMera, played with emotional depth by Billy Flynn, has been a fan favorite since he stepped into Salem in 2014, replacing Casey Daedrick in the role. As the youngest son of Stefano DiMera, Chad has spent years trying to escape his father's shadow, striving to be a better man than the ruthless patriarch who raised him. His love story with Abigail Devereaux, played by Kate Monsey and Marcy Miller, became one of the show's most beloved, earning Flynn 3 Daytime Emmy nominations for Outstanding Lead Actor. But Abigail's tragic death in 2022 left Chad a broken man, grappling with grief and a sense of purposelessness. Could this emotional turmoil have driven him to commit an unthinkable act against his own brother? The theory that Chad shot EJ is shocking, but it's not without foundation. Chad and EJ have a complex relationship, marked by both loyalty and rivalry. As DiMeras, they've clashed over family legacy, business dealings, and personal choices, yet they've also stood by each one another through countless crises. However, recent events may have pushed Chad to a breaking point. EJ's manipulative actions, particularly his role in hurting Sammy, a woman Chad has always respected, could have struck a nerve, especially given Chad's own struggles with loss and betrayal. Perhaps Chad saw EJ's behavior as a betrayal of the family's already fragile bonds, a step too far in a lineage already stained by treachery. Another motive lies in Chad's protective instincts. As a father to 2 children, Thomas and Charlotte, Chad is fiercely devoted to his family. If he believed EJ's actions were endangering the DiMera legacy or putting his children at risk, perhaps by drawing enemies like Clyde Weston, James Reed, closer to Salem, Chad might have felt compelled to act. The gun, left behind by Johnny, could have been too tempting, a means to stop EJ's reckless behavior before it spiraled further. In a moment of desperation, Chad might have fired the shot, not intending to kill but to send a warning that went horribly wrong. The clue that changes everything. EJ's own words. One of the most intriguing aspects of this mystery is EJ's insistence that Johnny didn't shoot him. Despite the evidence, EJ has stood by his son, suggesting he knows more about the shooting than he's letting on. This raises a wild but compelling possibility. What if EJ knows Chad is the shooter and is protecting him? The DiMera code of loyalty runs deep, and EJ, aware of Chad's pain and the family's tangled dynamics, might be willing to take the fall, or at least obscure the truth, to shield his brother. This would explain why EJ hasn't pointed fingers at anyone else, even as suspects like Gabby Hernandez, Sherry Jimenez, and Rafe Hernandez, Galen Gehring, come under scrutiny. Alternatively, some fans have speculated that EJ himself pulled the trigger, overwhelmed by guilt over his actions and the pain he caused Johnny. This theory suggests EJ staged the shooting to frame someone else or to garner sympathy, a classic DiMera maneuver. However, this seems less likely given EJ's survival instincts and his history of outsmarting his enemies. Chad, on the other hand, fits the profile of someone acting out of raw emotion rather than calculated strategy. His grief over Abigail, combined with the pressure of being a DiMera, could have driven him to a moment of madness, making him the least likely, but most logical, suspect. Billy Flynn's exit. The prison plot thickens. The news that Billy Flynn is leaving Days of Our Lives to join the young and the restless as Cain Ashby, under the alias Aristotle Dumas, adds a layer of intrigue to this theory. According to multiple sources, Flynn's final episodes as Chad won't air until early 2026 due to the show's advanced filming schedule, giving writers plenty of time to craft a dramatic exit storyline. One plausible scenario is that Chad's role in EJ's shooting will come to light, leading to his arrest and a lengthy prison sentence. This would serve as a fitting, albeit heartbreaking, conclusion to Flynn's decade-long run, allowing Chad to exit Salem without killing off the character. A move that would preserve the possibility of a future return, perhaps with a new actor like Connor Floyd, who has been cast as the new Chad DiMera starting in April 2026. A prison storyline makes sense for several reasons. First, it aligns with the DiMera family's history of facing consequences for their actions, only to rise again like the phoenix, Stefano's enduring symbol. Sending Chad to jail would be a dramatic way to write him off while keeping the door open for redemption. Second, it would create ripple effects across Salem, impacting characters like Chad's children, his sister Kristen, and his cousin Stefan, Brandon Barish. The fallout could spark new conflicts, especially if EJ survives and grapples with whether to forgive his brother or seek revenge. Another theory suggests Chad's imprisonment could tie into Clyde Weston's storyline. Clyde, currently in a coma, has long been a thorn in the DiMera family's side, and recent spoilers hint that he might hold clues about Abigail's possible survival. If Chad discovers Clyde's involvement in Abigail's death and shoots EJ in a misguided attempt to protect his family, his arrest could be the culmination of a tragic misunderstanding. This would add a layer of irony, as Chad's actions, meant to safeguard his loved ones, would instead tear them apart. Theories on why Chad did it. Let's explore some detailed theories about why Chad might have shot EJ, each rooted in the emotional and dramatic stakes of Days of Our Lives. Grief-fueled rage, Abigail's death left Chad unmoored, and EJ's recent behavior, scheming, manipulating, and fracturing the family, could have felt like a betrayal of everything Chad holds dear. In a moment of rage, Chad might have confronted EJ, picked up the gun Johnny left behind, and fired, intending only to scare his brother but accidentally causing serious harm. Protecting the DiMera legacy. as a DiMera, Chad feels the weight of his father's legacy, but he's always tried to steer the family toward a less destructive path. If EJ's actions were drawing dangerous enemies to Salem or risking the family's empire, Chad might have seen shooting him as a drastic but necessary step to protect their future. A misguided sacrifice, Chad could have shot EJ to protect Johnny, believing his nephew was on the verge of doing something irreversible. By taking the blame, or ensuring EJ survived, Chad might have hoped to spare Johnny from a life of guilt or prison, sacrificing his own freedom in the process. Clyde's influence. If Clyde Weston is tied to the shooting, perhaps by manipulating events from behind the scenes, Chad might have acted under false pretenses, believing EJ was colluding with Clyde. This would align with spoilers suggesting Clyde's final clue could point to Abigail being alive, driving Chad to desperate measures. Each of these theories paints Chad as a man caught in a web of emotion, loyalty, and desperation, making his potential imprisonment a tragic but fitting exit for Billy Flynn's character. The impact on Salem and beyond. If Chad is revealed as EJ's shooter and sent to prison, the ramifications for Salem would be profound. His children, Thomas and Charlotte, would be left in the care of relatives like Julie Williams, Susan Seaforth Hayes, who has been a steadfast presence in Chad's life. The DiMera family would face a power vacuum, with EJ potentially stepping back into a leadership role despite his injuries, or Kristen seizing control in her brother's absence. Meanwhile, characters like Gabby and Rafe, who have been drawn into the mystery as suspects, could find themselves entangled in the fallout, either seeking justice or exploiting the chaos for their own ends. For fans, Chad's exit would mark the end of an era. Billy Flynn's portrayal has been a cornerstone of Days of Our Lives, his chemistry with co-stars like Kate Monsey and Marcy Miller creating iconic moments like the Chad and Abby love story. Flynn himself has spoken about the parallels between his life and Chad's, noting how personal milestones, marriage, fatherhood, and overcoming struggles, mirrored his character's journey. A prison storyline would allow Flynn to showcase Chad's complexity one last time, delivering a performance that could earn him another Emmy nod. Looking ahead. A new Chad and a new chapter as Days of Our Lives prepares to transition to Connor Floyd as Chad DiMera in 2026, the prison storyline could serve as a narrative bridge, giving the new actor a chance to redefine the character. Perhaps Chad will emerge from prison hardened but determined to reclaim his life, or maybe he'll return with a new perspective, ready to honor Abigail's memory in a different way. Whatever the future holds, the revelation that Chad shot EJ would be a game-changer, cementing Days of Our Lives as the soap opera that never shies away from bold, emotional storytelling. In conclusion, the theory that Chad DiMera shot his brother EJ is a twist that fits perfectly into the dramatic tapestry of Days of Our Lives. It honors the show's tradition of family conflict, personal sacrifice, and shocking reveals, while providing a poignant exit for Billy Flynn's beloved character. As we await Chad's final episodes and the truth about the shooting, one thing is certain: Salem will never be the same.